Here is how Sauron's Annatar disguise came to be, what he did with it, and why he stopped changing forms in later years. Sauron's Annatar form creates havoc in the Lord of the Rings mythos. Despite being one of the most well-known fictional antagonists of all time, Sauron's physical appearance has never been entirely clear. The Lord of the Rings movie trilogy, which extrapolates minor clues within Tolkien's text into a literal design, is largely responsible for the popularized images of a towering warrior in black armor or a flaming eye atop Barad-dûr. J.R.R. Tolkien describes Sauron, or more accurately doesn't describe him, in only the vaguest possible terms. Tolkien gets a little more descriptive about Sauron's appearance in Middle-earth's Second Age, which provides the setting for Amazon's The Rings of Power TV series. As the era begins, Sauron is licking his wounds following Morgoth's defeat. Upon finally reappearing, he takes the disguise of Annatar, which Tolkien labels a fair form without ever really offering firm details. As Annatar will almost certainly play a major role in The Rings of Power Season 2, here's everything Middle-earth mythology reveals about Sauron's favorite face. Although Sauron is most known for his efforts in the realm of warmongering, he originally belonged to the Maiar, a race of primordial, angel-like, eternal spirits that served Ilúvatar, the creator god of Tolkien's universe. Melkor, who subsequently became known as Morgoth and was a higher-ranking spirit turned evil by envy, resentment, and fury, would corrupt Sauron. All Maiar are capable of taking on any physical shape they choose, and many of them have used this power to blend in among elves and other children of Ilúvatar. However, Sauron had other plans and used his ability to change into a variety of disguises, including werewolves, serpents, vampires, and a huge and terrifying basic form that was shown in live action as the Black Armor design. In J.R.R. Tolkien's First Age, Sauron would take several forms to frighten his adversaries. He may have recognized that doing the contrary would be more successful when the Second Age got underway and decided to return to Middle-earth as Annatar. Tolkien refers to Annatar as having a fair shape, but the author never gives a precise description of his attractive appearance. However, given that many nations esteemed him as a friend, many have rationally surmised that Annatar was Sauron in the form of an elf or Nemenorian. The name Annatar had a role in Sauron's deceit as well. The name is a reference to how he offered knowledge, fame, money, and power to everyone who listened his vast wisdom, and means Lord of Gifts in the elf language of Quenya. As Annatar, Sauron's first task was to trick the elves. He accordingly traveled to a region where the greatest blacksmiths of the race greeted him. It's crucial to remember that not all elves believed in Annatar. Elrond, Gil-galad, and Galadriel, among others, concluded that the newcomer's claims were unreal and that Annatar should stay away from Lindon and Lothlorien. No elves, not even the inquisitive ones, understood that the treacherous Annatar was really Sauron in disguise. The Rings of Power were what Sauron set out to make in Erebor. Sauron had worked for Al-Azamea, who was revered by dwarves and widely regarded as the god of blacksmiths. As a result, Sauron was skilled in both handicraft and black magic, and while in a region, he employed both. The elves were eager to create Rings of Power, and Sauron provided his divine knowledge on the subject readily. The Fellowship of the Ring recounts how Sauron betrayed his new allies by including a strategy for corrupting those who wore the rings into their creation. Annatar had a direct impact on the 16 rings of power that dwarves and men would eventually possess. The elves' 3 rings were crafted by Celebrimbor personally, but still using Sauron's sinister method. Annatar then skulked back to Mordor and made his ruling ring, and only when Galadriel, Gil-galad, and Círdan slipped on their 3 rings did the elves finally realize how badly they'd messed up. Fans of The Lord of the Rings may ask why Sauron didn't use this disguise to enter the Shire or persuade Frodo into giving up the One Ring when they first read of Annatar's adventures. The solution is straightforward. After the Second Age, Sauron lost the capacity to change his shape. Ilúvatar, Arda's typically distant deity, acted promptly after the event on Enmenor by erasing the island from his chart and rearranging the realm to isolate Valinor from it. Eru, who was obviously tired of seeing Sauron use charm, deceit, and good looks to corrupt the people of Middle-earth, removed the Maia's power to assume a fair appearance as part of his retribution for the Evil One. After the fall of Númenor, therefore, Sauron can only take his dark and terrible form, the one Peter Jackson depicts as a towering foe clad in black armor. This shape's true design will remain forever ambiguous, but Tolkien does twice make reference to black hands. Annatar looks set to play a major role in The Rings of Power Season 2, suggesting the Amazon show's sophomore run will focus predominantly upon forging the Rings of Power themselves. It's easy to see how conflict could then arise between the already very skeptical Galadriel and her fellow elves. Given how Gil-galad and Celebrimbor are characterized more negatively in live action, they won't necessarily share their literary counterparts in Annatar's suspicion. Maybe the decisive voice will belong to Robert Arameos Elva, the most level of elven heads and a friend to both Galadriel and Celebrimbor. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to comment, subscribe and give us a like. Subscribe and